think it's important that we all recognize that we're going to have failures, and those failures are to move us forward. And later on in life, because of my father not being involved, I always thought that had no negative impact on me. And I always, I protected myself by saying I didn't need a dad, right? And even when I went on to college and got all these accolades, the only person in college history to be inducted into the Hall of Fame twice and played professional basketball and did all of these things and was on an academic scholarship and people asking for my autograph and all of that stuff. And one day I get a call and it's my dad. I'm probably about 34 at the time. I'm a chief operating officer for a large for-profit company, national for-profit company, and was doing really well for myself and feeling really good about myself. And I get this call, and my dad, he says, "Hey," and he's joking, right? And it's a little awkward for me, but I know he's trying to build a relationship. And he said something to me that kind of took me the wrong way, and I was just like, all right, it was great to hear from you, blah, 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 and hung up the phone. And I had a mentor, an older African-American gentleman who worked for me at the time, and I would talk to him about stuff like that, and I told him about what happened. He said, Marcus, you really should reach out to your dad. And I said, man, I can't, like that man don't know me, and I'm going through this struggle with him that I had never even had to address my entire life. And long story short, he said, one of the things you'll never know is what the dynamics were between him and your mom. And you'll never know what he was dealing with when you were a kid. And for him to reach out to you, I guarantee you he had to put his pride to the side to do that, right?
Right.
And at the time I was so prideful, I didn't call my dad back. 2 weeks later I get a phone call, my dad died, right? And so I go back to Atlanta and I go to the funeral, and all these family members I had only seen when I was a little kid, and I got 5 brothers and sisters on my dad's side I didn't have a relationship with. And I'm at this funeral, and it's packed, and all of these people start to go up in a eulogy and say, I got 2 minutes to say something about the person who's being buried. And these young kids from the community, one by one, kept going up and saying, Mr. Dave was a dad to me, and he did this, and like if you did, he was good with his hands in construction. He did all this stuff for people in the community. And as I sat there, I said, wow, that's me. Like, I am my father's child.
Yeah.
Even though he wasn't involved in my life. Yeah. And at that point, I recognized that I had some emotional. I felt, that I was hiding this emotional thing that I never addressed.
To the tune of about 7 other men who are still actively engaged in talking to you, coaching you, sounding board, advising you. And so what you had then as, one gentleman, the mentor in your life, has now blossomed into this village you've created that helps sustain you. What advice would you give to men now around creating that village now? Not just, if you're a young man, but what do you advise young men now?
And because I was able to put these mentors around me, it changed my thinking, which I didn't even think about, but it just became natural. It's just like, well, Marcus, that's a defeatist attitude, right? As a man, as a person, like if we keep giving power to those things that we can no longer control, then we're not going to be able to move on. And the last thing I ever want to feel is that I allow something to hold me back. And so being able to address that, that emotional baggage, I think allows me to be a better father, right? To both my son and my girls. And I've learned, even as an alpha male, that the strongest thing that you can do is be vulnerable.